The Blokebusters podcast is proud to be a member of the Podbros Network. You can find us, as well as other fantastic podcasts such as Pencil and Ink Review, Another Damn Trivia Show, and The Language of Bromance at podbros.com, as well as on most other fine podcasting services. Now sit back, relax, and prepare to share and enjoy the Blokebusters podcast.
How could a movie with Christopher Lee, Ron Perlman, Claire Forlani, a movie with so much sexism, homophobia, and xenophobia go so wrong? Hopefully we'll find out as we'll be talking about Police Academy Mission to Moscow. Welcome to the first of what we hope to be quite a few episodes of this new series we'll be doing called Franch-Fried. Basic idea is we're going to take the latest entry in a series of films and just review it, having maybe not seen all of those in the series. Whichever one of us think that the series has gone on too long. Maybe one or both of us, but that's kind of how it's going to work out. So we thought, why not go with this pile right off the bat. I'm Brian, of course. Joining me, as always, is the blood and sweat of Blokebusters. I'm the cheers, of course. Paul Hawkins.
Yes, hello there.
And a very special guest. Only felt right to have this guy on, as we're pretty much just appropriating his idea here. Would be Otter Knight. Otter?
You guys have completely run out of ideas, haven't you?
Yeah, so why not? Hey, why not steal from the best, right?
Yeah. Just move a turd from our show to yours. We're happy to give one up. Believe me, we have a lot of them. So.
Pleasure to have you on. Yeah, just had to have you on this to help us flush this, as it were. That is not what the terminology we'll be using, but when you're on, that's the way
that's what we do
about it. But
yes, and as you can probably tell, I don't think we'll be giving imaginative titles to these. It'll probably just be the name on it. But yes, this one, we decided, why not go with the franchise that you didn't realize went on this long?
Everyone, you ask everyone, you'll get a different answer for how many films are in the franchise. 4, 6, 8?
That's the initial problem, though, with this, guys. You guys, this is what you came up with. You said you texted me or you DM me about a franchise that has gone on too long. The last movie in the series was made in 1994, guys. It's been 22 fucking years. I think it's over. Why are we?
This is a revisionist history. It went on too long. That is a fact. It's not going on too long.
I don't know. I didn't even know that. I think I got 6 films out of it. You thought it was what? 4 films
7,
too many?
Yeah.
That's 7? Is it 7 or is it 6?
This is 7. Police Academy is 6. This is City Under Siege. Yeah, this is Police Academy, Mission to Moscow.
As everyone knows.
Yes, absolutely. As I knew of yesterday when I did my Police Academy research.
I thought they released one. I didn't realize it's been 20, I gotta step back in time here. All right. We can go.
It was interesting because we threw around a few ideas for which one to start this with. I mean, obviously Transformers could have been like and
they're still making those, so was the
what we wanted to do was the latest one that isn't in cinemas, easily accessible. And then we also thought, well, why not start with an old franchise before we start getting into the low hanging fruit, as it were, of the more recent ones. And this one just kind of stood out for I remember enjoying the first one. And I haven't rewatched it yet.
This is not the first one.
And this is not the first one of that franchise.
No,
even watching the first one, you would never think you can get 6 more films out of this.
Having 5% of your returning cast at the
it is it's the law of diminishing returns. We could talk about that.
It's the American Pie Presents of Police Academy.
When the greatest joke in this franchise is a gay bar joke that you can no longer do, I think you're in trouble. I think that's where you got to kind of start from. I mean,
so we'll obviously get into this in a bit. I'm just gonna give you the director and stuff. This was directed by Alan Mehta. That's Metter, and I have no idea what else he's done. And a budget of $10 million.
1994, $10 million.
1994, $10 million. Having watched this, I don't know where that went. Probably just on the plane tickets to get over there.
Tackleberry doesn't come cheap. He demands the scratch.
And a box office of, and this is fantastic, $126,247. So, yeah. Didn't do too great.
I don't think it did well.
Tough to believe.
Yes.
Coming in at a hot 82 minutes.
Yep.
And it felt about like 240.
Yes. So,
when you can't get to 90 minutes, you know you're in trouble.
Yeah,
even with credits, you can't get to 90 minutes.
yeah.
You know, you've completely run out of material at this point. Maybe this was on fumes.
Yeah.
By 94. It had a 10-year run, but yeah, all right.
My first note that I wrote down was simply, wow.
Not sure.
That's the same note you had for the other one, too.
Yeah.
A little different context.
Yeah, but this is a different wow.
My first note was, Jesus, what am I in for after that news intro?
Yeah. I genuinely don't know where to start with this.
Well, pretty much all I really want to play Game Boy is all I got out of this. I really want to dust off my Game Boy and play some Tetris.
I genuinely was starting to wonder, like, should I rewatch the first film and after this and just see, is it that the humor changed so much, or is it that having grown up and now gone back to it, it's like, wow, this wasn't good. Like, I'm not sure I want to watch it.
And I'm glad you brought that up, because that is another rule we kind of laid out, is that you're allowed to review any films in the history that you've already seen, but if you haven't seen any of the others, you cannot do those as well.
We are judging this entire franchise on its last entry.
Which I think is fair for this. I don't think we need to.
I don't know. Also, you gotta remember the audiences have changed from 1984 to 1994, so comic sensibility may have changed in the 10 years. And if you're still doing the same material, you know, it may not play well in 94 as it did in 84. Maybe in 84 it didn't play that well either. The first one's a much better film than what you're looking at now.
Winslow.
I mean, you got no Gutenberg. If you
but Gook, he left after 4. He only did 4 films.
Yeah, he went through 4.
He went through 4 and he was done. Maybe he should have stayed. I don't know. Considering how bad his career is now, maybe he should have hung around for the other 3 films.
Yeah, well, the Stonecutters are no longer around to make him a star, so that's a reference and a half for anyone wanting to look that up. But yes, I looked up a couple of things here. So, the production was temporarily halted due to the constitutional crisis of 1993 and the damaged White House. And it's just this film. I'm not fully sure I get it. Like, so some of the stuff in this film, I felt made absolutely no sense. For instance, there's a scene where Michael Winslow's character is like, "Oh, did those guys make fun of you? Here," and then he gets on a BMX, and then it's just shot from the chest up of him going, wah, wah, wah. It's like, and it's not like he kind of makes a motorcycle noise with his mouth. I mean, yeah, you know, as you would expect, but that's it. He doesn't then do any tricks. He just go around being shot at.
For being the sound effects guy, I think that bit is used, like twice or something?
How much mileage are you going to get out of a guy who can do sound effects with his mouth?
Exactly.
I mean, the first movie, yes. Maybe the first 2 films, but come on, this is 7 films in, guys. Like, he's done. This guy, sadly, this guy does it in his stand-up. That's his whole act. Like, if you ever seen a stand-up, this is what he does for an hour. It's just fart sounds with his mouth. I
would have rather seen that than this film.
Well, agreed. Yeah.
One of my favorite things looking this up is what Leonard Maltin said about this film.
Oh,
did you see?
Well, it's at the
I have it pulled up right here.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
If the United States and Soviet Union were still at odds, this film would make a great weapon. It could bore people to death.
And even I watched it via Crackle, which is I think how you watched it as well.
Yes, it is.
Even like their little thing is like film reviewer Leonard Maltin turned up his nose at this film or whatever, but yeah,
turned up his nose. Wow,
yeah, something like that. But Oh my god, thank God. I loved as much as I could love watching this film, that this was the way to do it. Commercial breaks, thank God for the commercial breaks. The little 90-second ads that I could just decompress for a little bit.
Yeah, just give you time just to write down what's going on.
Yeah. I wrote that. Was that a tit flash joke I wrote down at one point?
Yeah.
Well, what was the rating on it? Was it PG? It was PG, I believe, right?
PG,
it wasn't even R rating anymore. Yeah, which is really sad. Yeah, it's just PG. The first one's R. It's a hard R film.
Which is actually kind of interesting if this is PG, given that there is a scene with multiple naked women in it.
That's fine.
I mean, obviously back then...
This is 1994 PG is different than
exactly.
2016.
It's one of the weirdest things to think about because obviously back in the 80s and early 90s, you could have nudity and it would be, parental guidance, whatever. Whereas now, it would almost be an instant, R rating or something for that. However, you can shove in almost as many swear words as you like, or as much violence as possible. And you can, and no one cares anymore. It's weird how things have shifted.
Yes. Quite a bit.
Yeah. I
don't know where to go here, Paul. I guess, what did you enjoy? Was there anything you enjoyed? That way.
One thing I guess I kind of enjoyed watching it was just seeing some of these scenes just play out, and it's I genuinely don't know where this is going.
Jumping ahead, I totally checked out in instant act. I was beyond caring. I was doing some dishes and hearing it.
But it was I was watching this film and having not seen Police Academy past, I think, the second or third one, and it's been so long since I've seen that, I didn't remember the formula from it, so I was watching this just I wonder where this is going. And then there were so many scenes where it was why is that there? How there's a scene where this guy really wants to get with the translator, and so instead of doing what it is that she wanted him to do, which you'd think would have actually endeared him to her more, he lies and then gets her to have to stay around. With the cat, I just wrote down, gotta love the casual racism. Just I wait 3 years for vacation. And it's yes, that's how it works. And I'm sure it was. Everyone outside of Russia thinks I wait 3 years in line for potato. And now I can eat like a king or something. It's just ridiculous.
Oh, I just kept saying, poor Ron Perlman.
How the hell did they get Ron Perlman and Christopher Lee?
That's what I'm saying.
At least Christopher Lee
wasn't doing anything major. That was pre-Hellboy, right? So he wasn't doing it. He wasn't back on the radar yet, Ron Perlman. No. So he's taking work. Lee had been a name. You gotta remember, 3 of these cast members in this film are dead.
David
probably
Graff.
Gratefully so, yeah. Gaines, Graff, and Lee are all gone.
Graff from Lancaster, Ohio, which is just about a little over an hour away from where we are here. But
he died young. Yeah, he died
50.
young. Yeah. He only died at 50. So this is probably what killed him. The series probably killed him.
I think so. Yeah.
After 7 of these, come on, man.
No, he got the script for 8, and then he just
that's when he died. That's when he fell over. Yeah, I'm done. I don't blame him. George Gaines they propped him up in this film. He was pretty old. Even in this movie, he was getting up there. And then he died. I forget when he died. I don't think he died too long after this one too. Oh no, he died actually this year. I'm sorry. Sorry, George. He literally just died in February. I'm surprised he made it that far, honestly.
It was so weird. Obviously, I think his character was written exactly the same in every single one. I believe he would always just I'm completely clueless. Hey, we win the day in the end. Hooray.
Well, that's the problem with the series, though. You got 7 films, but there was no character growth over those films. They're exactly the same characters they were in the first film as this one. It's just the same rubber stamp. I think that's what killed the franchise,
show
honestly.
That's going on for way too long.
Oh yeah, wait, yeah, right. It's like a sketch show. You're right, but it's just when you're playing the same character, and they're just against the law of diminishing returns. There's just the more you do it, the less funny it gets. So we're way past the expiration date. 2 films maybe 3.
Yeah,
but anything past that, it's just not working.
Yeah, it's so weird to see something, and it's going to be interesting, like doing this to jump in for the last film of the franchise and see what happens. And
there will be better films than we do.
Yes,
I'm sure of that.
But it was so weird to jump in and say, okay, they've gone to Moscow. It's like, all right, fine.
Well, immediately, I already checked out right there. I'm like, okay, unbelievable premise, done.
Well, yeah.
But I was willing to okay, fine, let's. Yes, of course. Moscow wants this and that police force over there. Okay, I'll go with that.
Yeah, and the second Ron Perlman came out, I was like, all right. And then you just see something and then you just have the other corrupt Russians just trying to get, and it's like, sure, why not? Yeah. I don't think there was ever a point in this film where I actually smiled.
Wow.
So were there, any moments that there was nothing that tickled you at all?
Well, okay. Technically, yes, but it had nothing to do with something that the film did. I ended up writing down, anyone a player of the game because you just lost. Because the game that is going to get into every computer system in the world is called The Game. And then they're going to make The Game 2. There's absolutely no explanation as to what the game is, what the game 2 is. It's just
a game adaptation of the Michael Douglas Sean Penn.
Yeah, they spent a lot of time coming up with that name too.
And it's just so many things like they have one programmer for the game.
That's how it works. Yeah,
and he has 2 weeks to program a sequel.
Yeah, but that was back in the day, though. You can crank them out. You can't do that shit. You need a whole team of people.
That's
how they did video games.
Even with it being back in the day, it would be
this is your sticking point, Paul. This is what you're sticking on. You're 7 films. It's a Police Academy movie. You're going to get hung up on the inaccuracy of being able to create a video game in 2 weeks.
Yes, I am, because
that is this film's major problem. Okay.
This is where Paul draws his Picard line in the sand. This is going this far, no further. This bullshit. I don't know, Paul. You got to maybe rethink your priorities on this. It's a Police Academy movie, man. It's just dumb lowbrow humor. You can't get hung up on little plot details. Like, I understand that it's critical to the plot, but obviously they didn't give a shit. So maybe lower your expectations.
I didn't find it funny, so I had to find something else to get into.
So you started getting aggravated. Yeah, it's not funny. We know that, but that's a blanket statement.
Yeah,
but the problem, also chief problem, you got to recognize these comedians don't have the talent level to reinvent the characters. Like these aren't Eddie Murphys and Melissa McCarthy's and people that can come in and keep spinning new tricks on these same characters. They have a very limited skill set. Michael Winslow is just down to making fart sounds with his mouth. Okay, that's all he can do. So there's only so much of that you can do. George Gaines, they just parade him out. So that's the issue. Is that the cast was never that strong. Even Steve Guttenberg, come on, it's the Goot, but you get tired of his bullshit. Even after 4 films, he was smart enough to get the hell out because he knew he wasn't funny anymore.
And then Hightower only left after the next one, after 5th.
Oh, Bubba Smith, he was out of there. Yeah. So that's the problem. They knew when to leave. That's why. Go ahead.
And bear in mind, this is one of, if not the first American-produced films to really be allowed to be filmed in Russia.
Which is horrible. No wonder why we look like assholes.
Horrible.
That's horrible. What a way to go.
They filmed at the Red Square.
I don't know.
They were allowed into
in all seriousness, keep in mind this is post-Cold War, and they even joke about that in the film. I mean, if you want to call anything in this film jokes, but, saying it wasn't long ago, they mentioned something about that in the whole way. It wasn't too long ago.
Oh dear.
We were enemies or some shit. Oh dear, what?
Well, so just having a quick look here. So that scene where Michael Winslow is on that BMX bike just making the sound effects, he had to have a wireless microphone to pick up his stuff while they were filming it. The frequency used was the same as the one used by the military. which resulted in officials turning up and being with, yeah, so.
See, that's, like, maybe the making of the film would be more interesting.
Oh, I would love a documentary about the making.
See, maybe we just need to see documentaries of these people getting paraded out for these sequels.
Well, there is a behind-the-scenes featurette on the DVD.
Oh, I'm sure it's one of those 2.5-minute ones that you get on the cardboard DVDs with the little flap.
So we don't get to see Michael Winslow getting beaten by Russian military over and over
interrogated.
again. Interrogated and stripped naked.
It's a good thing that he was just doing motorbike sounds and he was
exactly. Not doing his gunfire.
Wasn't doing like artillery shells.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh dear.
Oh my.
Yeah, I don't know if you noticed this at all, but it seemed to me as if every other line, and I'm not just talking about people speaking in Russian, having like dubbed or anything like that, but it felt as though every other line of dialogue, no matter who was speaking, was dubbed. Like it felt as though they were speaking, and then it would be like just a fraction of a second behind or something. Like,
so I didn't know if it was just a stream or something. I was watching.
But yeah, maybe it was. I don't know. Honor, did you have any issues there when you were watching it?
It played fine, but I think it was, it might have been, some of the stuff might have been redubbed. I mean, you always do it's ADR. Yeah. It's usually bad. And the budget for the ADR might have been insanely low because the budget wasn't that big. So, you're not going to get top quality sound, guys. I mean, they basically Skyped it. I mean, it was 1994 Skype. All right, just say your lines. We'll cut it in.
Yeah.
Also, we mentioned they had a limited run. This did play in theaters, but who the hell was in the theater in 94 to watch this? Who went to the theater? Like, homeless people? Like, who was actually
94, there were other good,
watching? There had to been other, like, where did this play? New York and LA, let's say, but there had to been homeless people or, I don't know, or just, you have to be diehard. Who's a diehard fan of the Police Academy series? Seriously. I mean, have you found one? I mean, the first film, yes, is very funny. I'll stand by the first one. It's a classic, but that's it, guys.
I mean, remember, Jurassic Park came out the year before this film, so there were amazing theater experiences to be had.
Right, there's films that came out. That's what I'm saying. Who was in the theater? Who went and saw this?
I looked up the box office. I looked up Box Office Mojo is where I normally go to. And the genre for this is comedy bumbling. And it is ranked 38 out of 38. Ernest Rides Again did better than this film.
Ernest Scared Stupid did better.
It's just that. Yeah,
I was scared stupid after this.
Police Academy 6
was over.
Did a box office, domestic at least, I think. Lifetime in theatre. Yeah, Police Academy 6 did $11.5 million. And then this one came out and only did 126,000.
Oh wait, so what happened between the 6th and the 7th? Like, how did the fans end up jumping ship? I mean, I don't understand. They're like, we can't do anymore and we're not showing up for another one. Like, maybe was the 6th that bad? I don't know.
I don't know.
I never saw 6. Yeah.
The thing is, 6 must have been the one where so many people were just like, wow, this is bad. I'm not going to see it anymore. I mean, Bubba Smith, the last in the franchise to feature Bubba Smith, Marion Ramsey, Bruce Miller, Lance Kinsley, and George R. Robertson. So, yeah, many people jumped ship.
Maybe 6 is the one you should be looking, as the one that's gone on too long. This one's kind of an addendum at this point because maybe that's one that really killed the franchise. Maybe this one isn't the one. Maybe they thought, let's just do one more, but maybe 6 was the one where everybody jumped ship.
Yeah, apparently it was, and it was just so weird watching this because I do have just in the back of my head, I had that nostalgia for the first one because
which is a great film.
Yeah, I mean you had Bobcat Goldthwait.
Bobcat Goldthwait.
As just a fantastic screeching inept guy who joins the academy, and so that's the thing. This film is based around police cadets joining the police force. Right. And that's not what this film is. It completely fails. The only way that there's any link is they go
generic Naked Gun in Russia.
They gave a speech at a Russian police academy at one scene in the film, and that is it. There is no other link to Police Academy whatsoever, other than it features some of the people in it. And it's like, I just want to know. And I'm not even going to bother watching some of the previous films, but I just want to know, how did the people that wrote this go, yeah, this is a police academy film. This is what we want.
It was a check. That's all it is. It's a check, you know.
Yeah, it's barely a check at this point. I mean, all the talent has jumped. What happened to Tim Kazurinsky? Why didn't they bring him back? He's out of work. I mean, he's stuck around.
Who knows what he was doing? Yeah.
He was funny. He was in the second one, in case you're wondering. But
what I want to ask, this will be fun, Paul. What if you just had to take a stab at it? What is the plot of this film?
The plot of this film is there's a guy who is going to somehow make a game that will get into every security system in the world. Because I guess everybody who owns a security system is going to play the game on that computer, and they have to stop him. Sort of. I guess.
You did better with it than I thought. Yeah, I don't think I could have done that well.
Well, that's the thing. That's the plot. I believe that takes up about 30% of the runtime of this film.
Yeah.
The rest of the runtime is, well, we need Michael Winslow to do some sound effects. Mm-hmm. We need
Connors and the hot Russian to get it on.
Right. We need Tackleberry to do something with a gun because he's gun obsessed. And we need to have some sort of scene where we can have some naked women in it. And then we need to have some scene where the guy who is the chief of the police academy is somewhere where he really shouldn't be and doesn't know he's somewhere where he shouldn't be. And it's like, yeah, the actual plot only takes place when Ron Perlman is on scene. And that's it. There is no plot to this thing.
Go ahead, Otter.
Why wasn't Tackleberry like the poster boy for gun control?
He needs to be. I know.
Man. Yeah. I mean, how much mileage are you going to get out of that? You couldn't even do, like, that's the funny thing. A lot of these jokes you did back then, you can't even do those jokes now. Like, you couldn't do a Tackleberry character now, really. You can't do the Blue Oyster Bar. You sure as hell can't do that joke. Cause you'd have every rights groups, raising flags up everywhere. I mean, so a lot of the stuff humor you can't even do anymore. So I don't know. Is it a timepiece in that respect? I guess as bad as it is.
I guess.
I guess. I mean, I was overwhelmed with the just the rampant sexism and homophobia.
Oh yeah,
and just like it was,
and the casual Russian racism. Like, how the hell did Russia allow this film? If they read the script, how did they say? Yeah, this is what we want.
We'll take your money.
Maybe they saw the first movie and they thought Steve Guttenberg was going to show up. I don't know. Russian, maybe their sense of humor is different. I don't understand how this ever like this. I think there's a great documentary there. I think maybe there's a great of how that movie got made, how they ended up in Russia. Maybe there is something to be said for it.
And again, you could obviously argue the same happens now, like the whitewashing of the stuff. Like Ron Perlman is American. Why couldn't they find a Russian actor to play the Russian bad guy? Yeah. Obviously Christopher Lee,
the guy from The Saint, and I can't think of the actor's
Christopher
name
Lee
now,
as the main commandant. Fair enough. Really well established actor, theatrical actor. Fair enough. Get him in to do a role. However, every other Russian person could have been done by, if not just a Russian person who is able to speak English, which I'm sure there are thousands, if not millions of in Russia that are actors, but how about someone of American-Russian descent? Any link whatsoever other than...
but you gotta have names in a film, though. You gotta have names to sell it, and I guess, man, they were able to rope in Christopher Lee and Ron. Well, Perlman wasn't as much of a name. Really, it's Lee, I think, was probably the main one. That got in for this. So, you gotta sell it, and, obviously, times have changed, and you can't really get away with this shit now.
Yeah.
But, plus we have Russian actors. We have ones that can, do this kind of stuff.
Yeah, I think what probably happened is, looking up Ron Perlman very quickly here, he had 4 films that came out in 93 and one that came out the year before. So maybe it was like, he's been on the marquee a number of times. How about we get him in to do it?
That could be. It's an awareness. That's the only reason I think they would have got him.
Yeah, I mean, nothing against Ron Perlman. Ron Perlman is actually a good actor, but he is hamming it up to the extreme with this one. In fact, I would love to see, him do Hellboy with this accent. Like, for no reason whatsoever. Just have the Russian
I want him to be Hellboy in this movie.
Somehow.
And yeah, just what, I don't know, was Claire Forlani, like, she was, I guess, pretty much a newcomer at this point. Like, she was just the fresh face, because Mallrats is the year after, so maybe this is what got her Mallrats.
This was a second film after something called Gypsy Eyes.
Mm-hmm.
And then,
Mallrats was the next.
But
oh my god, that I can't decide whose accent was worse, hers or Ron Perlman's. It's a tough call.
And she's English, so
exactly.
She was English doing a Russian accent. Ron Perlman was American doing a Russian accent, and Christopher Lee was just doing Christopher Lee. So and to be honest, I don't care. Christopher Lee gets a pass in my opinion.
I don't think Christopher Lee had
victim of this. Yeah.
He had no idea what the hell he was even doing. They just wheel him in. Says this. I think he wasn't even conscious that he was even doing it. That's what happens when you get to that point in your career. They just show up and say the lines and go home. He didn't even know he was doing a comedy. He probably thought he was doing a drama.
I mean, guys have many laughs. Yeah.
Yeah. The weirdest thing about Christopher Lee, like I think he was fluent in about 6 languages, and I'm fairly certain Russian was actually one of them. So he probably did have.
Could have done.
And in fact, I kind of want to just do a thing about Christopher Lee, because so many of the things, like when he was on the set of Lord of the Rings, and Peter Jackson told him to imagine the sound of someone being stabbed in the back, and his response to that was, "I don't need to imagine it," just because of some of the stuff he did during the war. I feel bad. And I think the thing I'm trying to get at here is, once again, how did they get these people on this shit? Because, to be honest, if we are as we kind of were alluded to,
you really didn't like this film. You really
if we're going to judge the franchise based on its final bow, as it were.
Then it's a total. I don't know if that's even a fair assessment. Then the whole thing sucks.
We're just reviewing the film, not the franchise.
Because the first film is very good. I mean,
exactly. It was such a fall from grace. What the hell happened?
They just kept it
you can look at it like
too
that.
long, which is the whole purpose of this.
Way too long.
Well, what's the exit point then, guys? After Guttenberg left, because he was really the center of the whole thing. So I think after 4, maybe
after 4, you call it a
4.
Once you reach the point where
the lead actor leaves.
The lead actor's gone, and I assume he wasn't the only one to go. Chances are,
no,
they all kind of left it. Yeah, but had gone by that point.
But you got to remember, some of these guys are so low on the bar. This is the only career they had. Michael Winslow, that put him on the map. So of course he's going to hang around. You got the bottom feeders. There's people that are going to, Guttenberg had a career, so he was able to go and do other shit. Some of these other people can do that, but some of these guys are like David Graff and Winslow were stuck. Even G.W. Bailey, this is the best thing he ever did.
Academy scripts,
but right now, at least, I know Winslow and Bailey. Bailey.
No, Graff's not
dead
waiting on anything. No.
Okay. No,
I mean, at that time, I was probably waiting on the next one to come around.
Leslie Easterbrook is waiting. They're all, that's the problem. This is what they were known for, is put them on the map. Of course they're going to hang around. They're going to milk it for all they can. That's why they turn up in the animated series and the TV series and all this other, nonsense. It's hard. It's sad to watch a sinking ship. Or a dumpster fire, but this is a
dumpster fire on a sinking ship.
I mean, the real telling thing here. So, directed by someone that was not connected to any of the previous film, written by people that had no connection to any of the previous films.
Oh, so it's a DC film.
And produced by, let's see here, there is one person who is a producer who produced 3 through 6, and all the other and 2 people produced 3 through 6. And the other 2 producers had no connection whatsoever to the previous film. So, written by people that I guess just liked the previous films.
And decided to remove all the charm and humor.
Right, exactly.
It's just it was so sad to watch this. Having that nostalgia.
Every single attempt, it was low hanging fruit after low hanging fruit. It was the easiest observation to make every time out. The dog pee joke, like the peeing down this, none of it worked.
They had the running joke of the Russian guy hired the bellhop to sit in his room and say, "I'm in the bathroom," every time somebody knocked on the door. Mm-hmm. And so the first
That was
time.
funny.
Yeah, if you say so. I mean,
the Chernobyl joke, always hilarious to have a Chernobyl joke.
If everything's terrible, you got to look for something. There has to be something to entertain you. Even there's always a little gem.
I did generally have a half chuckle at the cord in the wall bit, pulling on the cord. I know it's an old played out bit, but
But the way that
I was looking for something.
As on a nose, like I tend to come up with the way it should have gone rather
than the way it did.
But what happened with that is like he trips over the wire and then he's smashed into the wall. And so the guy picks up the wire and then he's smashed into the wall again. So they pull on the wire and he's smashed into the wall again. And then one other person grabs on the wire and he's smashed into the wall.
See, I'm laughing again. I love physical pain.
I think
Brian's easy.
Brian's hit that wall about like 8 or 9 times before he came through.
Right.
And personally, I think if they'd have done it at 5, like that would have been the optimum. It's like bang, bang, and then it's like okay, no. Okay,
well, you know the comedy rule. It's not funny, and then it's funny again.
And then you get the ding as he does come flying through the wall. But by the time he came to the wall, it was like, okay, let's just get this over with, please. It's
called padding the running time. It's called padding the running time.
Exactly. Like we got.
And again, they still didn't make it to 90 minutes.
Well, usually, the rules are 3. Comedy's a rule of 3 usually. So if you did it 3 times, it would have been funny. Or even 5 at the max, but. Yeah, that's padding the running time. Maybe they didn't know when to end the joke, or the series.
That car chase scene as well. It was like, okay, we're going to run. Oh, someone fell off the car. We'll wait for them to get back on the car. Okay, and then we're driving after them, and like, oh no, there's 4 people. They've fallen over. Oh dear. Well, let's wait for them to get back in the car again. Okay, yeah, they're all on. Good. Okay, we'll keep going down. It was so.
I'm sorry for the state. Well, I shouldn't apologize because I'd like to talk about anything other than this film. There's one. I was telling Paul about this film when we finally figured it out because I kind of wanted you guys to do it in the restroom. Called Wrecker. Are you aware of that one, Honor?
Wrecker? No.
So it's just like a joyride type horror movie. Trucker chases two teens for who knows the fuck why, for about 85 minutes. But there are so many insert shots into that to pat. They show like the same sequence of like their convertible driving around these curvy roads from like a helicopter shot. It's used like 8 or 9 times, and it's like no dialogue, no music. It's just the car driving.
We're totally flushing that.
You have to. Wrecker.
Absolutely.
It's amazing.
2015. That's a new. That only came out last year.
I was gonna say it sounds to me like somebody watched the beginning of The Shining and Jewel and was like, I think I could do this.
Oh, it is delightfully awful. Like I got just got a little my mind right is the way my one friend and I used to, use something. So I got my mind right and watched Wrecker, and it was delightfully awful. Yeah, not like this. I mean, there were,
which is just awful. Yeah.
Yeah, which is just awful.
Yeah,
but check out Wrecker. Don't check out this.
Yeah, there really were a couple of times where I kind of rewound it just a little bit to go, okay, yep, that did happen. I thought I wasn't paying attention, and
I wasn't even going to bother with the rewind because I'm like, then I got to wait for it to buffer, and I'm like, whatever I missed wasn't important. Whatever is coming up isn't important. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, it really is going to be interesting. I kind of hope that future versions of this we end up looking at films that have just more substance to them.
I mean, like, what was even the whole subplot of the missing commander, like Lassard or stuff like? Is that just more runtime again, right?
Well, just more
with him hanging out with
the
the family that took him in.
I'm going to assume that happened in previous films as well.
It's like a bit.
Yeah,
that they're returning to. I think, like he always goes missing. I don't know.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, Naked Gun did it perfectly, where they did 3 and they were done.
Right.
And then
by the third of that one, it was running thin.
Yes, 33.
By the third film, they knew they were running thin on that one. By the third Naked Gun. So they knew when to get out. This one, they didn't know when to stop here. They just
Well, OJ ran into some trouble after that too. So
well, there's some legal stuff. Yeah,
yeah, but I think by the end of the third one, they probably could have just been like, yeah, he died off screen. Like, if they wanted to carry on
Right.
They could have, but yeah, they didn't, and for good reason. And then this film is the reason why you don't continue these, like, this isn't only beating the dead horse, this is beating it, grinding it up, eating it, shitting it out, and then beating that.
And then setting that on fire. And burying those ashes. And then shitting on that burial.
Yeah, there's a joke in the IT crowd where it said you wouldn't steal a car, you wouldn't kill a policeman, and then steal his helmet, and then shit in his helmet, and then leave it on the doorstep for his widow, and then steal it again.
All of that was just funnier than that. The entire film.
Exactly, it was, yeah. Right.
It's just, basically, I think, as a result of watching this film, we've realized that we didn't want to watch this film. And
I was sending Paul angry texts about myself. And like, whose horseshit idea was this?
Yeah, my response was just, I don't know, some asshole.
Yeah, I'm like, I really want to punch this dude square in the jaw for making me watch this. Oh yeah, that was me. Yeah. This was my brilliant.
Yeah, you guys might have to rethink this whole series. I don't know.
Well, they will improve, like I'm saying. You know,
I hope so. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know.
I hope so. The main idea behind this is like, we hate the fact that Hollywood is just churning out sequel after sequel after sequel, and so we want to go into, this is what happens when you churn out sequel after sequel after sequel.
Oh, this is a great example of that. You end up with
this. Right. And so we, like, at some point we'll probably do Transformers. Now, I have seen, I think, almost every entry in Transformers, so down the line, I'm going to be able to.
But you can't do that. They're still making them, though. I can't only do the series if the series is ended. I think that. So the next one should be. Mm-hmm. What the hell were we just talking about? Wait, you can do it now. They're not really Naked Gun. There's another.
We're not going to do Naked Gun because A, those were good, and B, they finished at a nice point.
Well, so maybe the Ernest series, which obviously
I would be behind doing Ernest.
I think Ernest it's definitely on the radar, and it might need to be the next one.
Yeah,
I don't even know what.
Ernest, but that was beating a dead horse with the first movie, so you might have to out working on that.
I think that was their best joke. We're literally beating.
That's the problem. How many in that? There was like at least 7 or 8 in those.
I don't know. I remember really enjoying the whatever the Halloween one.
Yeah, that's the thing. I was about to say my memory of Ernest is that Halloween one,
the troll,
especially for no reason whatsoever. I get popping into my head the idea where he's like, there's this thing where it's M-I-K. It's the only thing that can beat it. And of course, he jumps to Miak. Yes, that's it. I'm going to go and find myself some Miak, and then I'm going to be able to defeat this thing. And it's like, wow, okay.
Yeah, I don't know how well they're going to hold up to my 10-year-old sensibilities, but I think I've matured slightly, not too much since that time, but I don't know if they're all going to go over as well as that.
Yeah, and I'm perfectly fine with going into that one. I think that will have to be the next one. We'll have to find it.
I really want to do things like Paranormal Activity, but I think they're still churning out those piles of shit. I don't know, but I mean, we could still watch 5 or whatever the.
Yeah, there's quite a few of those.
Is on direct.
Well, there's a lot of horror series that you can do that have run out of gas completely. They're, easily ripe. You can even say the Friday the 13th series can be a viable one.
Yeah,
because that definitely ran out of gas that's way past its expiration date, stuff like that. But are we circling around to this because this Police Academy did come up on the radar as being remade, right, or rebooted? There's been talk about bringing this back in some context.
Yeah, and I think it would have to be done in a way where, like, kind of like Ghostbusters.
Yeah, I was just going to say, with the Ghostbusters
where the original cast, if they're in it, they're not those characters, like,
right.
Or they're just people who they've started the academy, and the only people you focus on are your new comedic people that are.
I think you do what Ghostbusters is, you pull a lot of that young talent that's at SNL right now. A lot of the younger comedians that are in improv groups like Mike Birbiglia has in his new movie. Just get that young talent out there.
That's what you need. Yeah, and that way you can pull it off because then it can riff on each other. You really come up with some really good stuff. Like the platform's there. It can be rebooted and it can be raunchy. It's got to be R-rated. It's got to go for. It definitely has to go for broke in a different kind of modern 2016 way, but make it R-rated. And like you were just saying, bring in some SNL people, bring in some, comedy improv people that can, handle this type of material and just cut them loose. And I think, and not necessarily use the same characters. You can come up with all new characters and just use the framework like Paul was saying. We have an academy, we have a group of cadets, one's a wise, and just set up the hierarchy, the order of the characters and who's surrounding them and then let them go. Yeah, I think it can be done. But it's going to have to be a sharp script, like a really sharp script.
Yeah, definitely. And yeah, looking into it here, yeah, I think the next one is definitely going to have to be the 10th entry in the Ernest P. World.
Jesus.
It is Ernest in the Army.
You are not my main man right now.
Boy, that's going to be a very long show, that one. Good luck with that, guys. So if you're just watching the 10th one, that's the Army one, right?
That is the Army one. Yeah, the
I don't
10th
know.
and final Ernest P. World. Film.
I think, didn't he die? I think he died during that movie. I think actually he died during the film.
No.
His spirit died long before.
No,
but
he died in February 2000. This film came out in 1998, so yeah.
Oh, not too long after. Yeah. Well, that's what killed him. 10 movies, 10 crappy Ernest films killed him. I think legacy. What a way to go out.
I think we should decide on each film during the podcast, and this is the plot synopsis.
We picked the next one during
Ernest is
here we go. This is what the next one we're going to do is about. Ernest is working as a golf ball collector at the golf range.
That's a job.
But
you had me a golf ball collector.
Yeah, and he fantasizes about being a war hero. A friend tells him if he joins the army, he can drive large vehicles and never go into actual combat. So he enlists. And then his entire unit goes to the fictional Middle Eastern country of Kyrgyzstan.
Oh, that won't be racist at all.
Did they really put Riff in the
Kyrgyzstan, where he has to assist UN troops in the hope of saving the country from being invaded by an evil Islamic dictator named Tafuti of Azria.
Oh, well, don't... Save some for the viewing experience. Yeah.
I may have to come back for that one. I don't know. that sounds almost too good.
Let's try to find something better after that one.
I'll say it. If you want to be a staple of this, I'd say we have you come back.
It sounds like in the Army now,
It does, yeah. Boy, that's going to be really bad, guys. All right, you picked a good. I think you got a good one there. I think your next one, you survived this.
The only other thing I'm going to tell you is the 3 roles that Jim Varney is in this film. He is Private Ernest P. Worrell, he is Army Captain, and he is Arab on Quicksand.
Oh, man.
Arab. Oh, I can't wait for that to pop up.
You guys are in good shape over there, man.
You know what? I'm genuinely looking forward to this one.
Oh, well, alright. I'm canceling this idea. This was a one and done.
Yes.
Like a mouth margarita, I am not going for any more.
And it is the 4th direct-to-video sequel from the Ernest franchise. So there we go. Well, I think that's...
Well, that was enough of a divergence.
Yes, that's definitely enough from us. So, yeah, thank you very much, Alan, for coming on for this one. And, yeah, please do come back for the next one. I think it's going to be...
Pardon the pun here, but would you do us the honor of sending this one out?
Yes.
Oh, cool. I usually say, can we flush it, ladies? Can we please flush it? But I guess that applies here.
My God.
Yes. Yes. Oh, yes.
Consider it flush. Put that sound effect in there.
Yes.
Yeah, where's Michael Winslow when you need him?
Yes.
Well, you're flushing almost like 6 films. I'll get the first one. Yeah, it's not just one. It's a big turd. It's a big turd going down.
Yeah, that one you're going to have to break up a bit.
Yeah,
that's what you got to break up with the plunger a little bit. Yeah.
You know what? I think for this one, I'm going to put the sound effect of, I don't know if you've seen the episode of South Park where Randy Marsh has decided he's going to have the biggest shit of all time. Yes. I think I might have to put the sound of him actually finally pushing
doing
out
it and spinning around.
Yeah. noise.
That'd work. That's perfect. It's a shame. It's a shame it got to this point.
Yeah,
but
so yeah,
It really
review.
is.
Don't watch this one, folks.
watch the first one. I will stand by the first one. Watch the first one.
Yeah, watch the first one.
I am going to rewatch the first one just so I can get that.
Cleanse your palate, cleanse your Felicia palate.
Yeah, I watched
funny
this late at night and
whole
then went to bed.
film.
So.
Oh my god. It took me like 3 hours, like I was telling Paul, to get through this thing about. Cause one, pausing to make notes, and two, just cause I had to walk away a few times. It's just...
Yeah, I imagine, what I imagine is you've got the TV going here. I imagine you were washing dishes, and then when the advert started, you were like, oh, let's watch the ad. There we go.
Yeah, I'm like, ooh, this is the third time I've seen this, Wendy's commercial, but it's looking pretty good. Yeah. The Wendy's commercials during the movie were the best part of the movie. You really wanted some Wendy's after.
Alright, so again, thanks Honor for coming on for this. And
Absolutely.
Yeah, do go find him over at the Soiled Restroom Cinema podcast or signalsoffury.com on the web there. Do find us. Obviously, you know where we are. We're Bloke
You've already found us.
Yes, go find us. Talk to us. Give us suggestions for franchises that you want us to watch the last entry of.
And what did we decide? At least
it has to have been released on DVD.
Okay.
And it has to be 4 or more as the entry number, because 3 is a trilogy. Past that, you're really getting into franchise territory. And no, we're not doing Twilight.
Well, we'll see. I mean, Twilight's sounding pretty good right now.
Compared to this, yeah.
To this, in earnest.
I think we should have a veto each, and I'm vetoing Twilight. I'm not watching the Sparkly Vampire.
How many Home Alone? Are there 4 Home Alones?
I believe there were 5, actually.
5. Well, we got to do that in there at some point, too.
Alright, well, there we go. Maybe we'll do Ernest next, and then Home Alone whatever after that. Alright, once again, everybody, I have been Paul.
I've been Brian.
And he has been Honor.
Yes, I have.
Bye, folks.
Bye.
Bye.